Turtles are reptiles of the order Testudines, characterized by a special shell developed mainly from their ribs. Modern turtles are divided into two major groups, the Pleurodira side-necked turtles and Cryptodira hidden-neck turtles, which differ in the way the head retracts. There are 360 living and recently extinct species of turtles, including land-dwelling tortoises and freshwater terrapins. They are found on most continents, some islands, and, in the case of sea turtles, much of the ocean. Like other amniotes, reptiles, birds, and mammals, they breathe air and do not lay eggs underwater, although many species live in or around water. Turtle shells are made mostly of bone. The upper part is the domed carapace, while the underside is the flatter plastron or belly plate. Its outer surface is covered in scales made of keratin, the material of hair, horns, and claws. The carapace bones develop from ribs that grow sideways and develop into broad flat plates that join up to cover the body. Turtles are ectotherms or cold-blooded, meaning that their internal temperature varies with their direct environment. They are generally opportunistic omnivores and mainly feed on plants and animals with limited movements. Many turtles migrate short distances seasonally. Sea turtles are the only reptiles that migrate long distances to lay their eggs on a favored beach. Turtles have appeared in myths and folk tales around the world. Some terrestrial and freshwater species are widely kept as pets. Turtles have been hunted for their meat, for use in traditional medicine, and for their shells. Sea turtles are often killed accidentally as bycatch in fishing nets. Turtle habitats around the world are being destroyed. As a result of these pressures, many species are extinct or threatened with extinction. Naming and etymology of the word turtle is borrowed from the French word tortue or torture turtle, tortoise 3. It is a common name and may be used without knowledge of taxonomic distinctions. In North America, it may denote the order as a whole. In Britain, the name is used for sea turtles as opposed to freshwater terrapins and land-dwelling tortoises. In Australia, which lacks true tortoises, family Testudinidae, non-marine turtles were traditionally called tortoises, but more recently turtle has been used for the entire group 4. The name of the order, Testudines, Testudines, TEH-stud-din-EZ, is based on the Latin word testo tortoise, 5, and was coined by German naturalist August Bach in 1788. 1. The order has also been historically known as Chelone, Latreille 1800, and Chelonia Ross and McCartney 1802, to which are based on the ancient Greek word chi epsilon lambda d nu eta chelone, tortoise. 6. 7. Testudines is the official order name due to the principle of priority. 2. The term Chelonian is used as a formal name for members of the group. 1.8. Anatomy and physiology sees if largest living species of turtle and fourth largest reptile is the leatherback turtle, which can reach over to 0.7 meters, 8 feet 10 in length, and weigh over 500 kilograms 100 pounds. 9. The largest known turtle was Archelon ischiros, a late Cretaceous sea turtle up to 0.5 meters, 15 feet long, 5.5 meters, 17 feet wide between the tips of the front flippers, and estimated to have weighed over 2,200 kilograms for 1,900 pounds 10. The smallest living turtle is Chersobius signatus of South Africa, measuring no more than 10 centimeters, 3.9 in length 11, and weighing 172 grams, 6.1 ounces. 12 shell main article, turtle shell photograph of one half of a tortoise skeleton, cut in half vertically showing the vertebrae following curving along the carapace. Sagittal section of a tortoise skeletonthi shell of a turtle is unique among vertebrates and serves to protect the animal and provide shelter from the elements. 13. It is primarily made of 50 to 60 bones and consists of two parts, the domed dorsal back carapace and the flatter ventral belly plastron. They are connected by lateral side extensions of the plastron. 13. 16. The carapace is fused with the vertebrae and ribs, while the plastron is formed from bones of the shoulder girdle. sternum, and gastralia abdominal rib. During development, the ribs grow sideways into a carapacial ridge unique to turtles, entering the dermis inner skin of the back to support the carapace. The development is signaled locally by proteins known as fibroblast growth factors that include FGF10. 17. The shoulder girdle in turtles is made up of two bones, the scapula and the coracoid. 18. Both the shoulder and pelvic girdles of turtles are located within the shell and hence are effectively within teeth. The trunk ribs grow over the shoulder girdle during development. 19. Drawing of a section through a turtle embryo showing formation of the shell, with the ribs growing sideways. Development of the shell. The ribs are growing sideways into the carapacial ridge, seen here as a bud, to support the carapace. 17. The shell is covered in epidermal outer skin scales known as scutes that are made of keratin, the same substance that makes up hair and fingernails. Typically, a turtle has 38 scutes on the carapace and 16 on the plastron, giving them 54 in total. Carapace scutes are divided into marginals around the margin and vertebrals over the vertebral column, though the scute that overlays the neck is called the cervical. Plurals are present between the marginals and vertebrals. 20 plastron scutes include gular's throat, humerals, pectorals, abdominals, and anals. Side neck turtles additionally have intergular scutes between the gulars. 16. 21 turtle scutes are usually structured like mosaic tiles, but some species, like the hawksbill sea turtle, have overlapping scutes on the carapace. 16. The shapes of turtle shells vary with the adaptations of the individual species and sometimes with sex. Land-dwelling turtles are more dome-shaped, which appears to make them more resistant to being crushed by large animals. Aquatic turtles have flatter, smoother shells that allow them to cut through the water. Sea turtles in particular have streamlined shells that reduce drag and increase stability in the open ocean. Some turtle species have pointy or spiked shells that provide extra protection from predators and camouflage against the leafy ground. The lumps of a tortoise shell can tilt its body when it gets flipped over, allowing it to flip back. In male tortoises, the tip of the plastron is thickened and used for butting and ramming during combat. 22 shells vary in flexibility. Some species, such as box turtles, lack the lateral extensions and instead have the carapace bones fully fused or ankylosed together. Several species have hinges on their shells, usually on the plastron, which allow them to expand and contract. Soft-shell turtles have rubbery edges due to the loss of bones. The leatherback turtle has hardly any bones in its shell, but has thick connective tissue and an outer layer of leathery skin. 23. Head and neck loci of the head and neck of turtlehead and neck of a European pond turtle. Turtle's skull is unique among living amniotes, which includes reptiles, birds, and mammals. It is solid and rigid with no openings for muscle attachment temporal fenestrae. 24, 25 muscles, instead attached to recesses in the back of the skull. Turtle skulls vary in shape, from the long and narrow skulls of softshells to the broad and flattened skull of the mata. 25 some turtle species have developed large and thick heads, allowing for greater muscle mass and stronger bites. 26 turtles that are carnivorous or Duriphagous eating hard-shelled animals have the most powerful bites. For example, the Duriphagous Mesoclemys nasuta has a bite force of 430 to lbf 1920 N. Species that are insectivorous, piscivorous, fish-eating, or omnivorous have lower bite forces. 27. Living turtles lack teeth, but have beaks made of keratin sheaths along the edges of the jaws. 2813. These sheaths may have sharp edges for cutting meat, serrations for clipping plants, or broad plates for breaking mollusks. 29 sea turtles, and several extinct forms, have evolved a bony secondary palate which completely separates the oral and nasal cavities. 30. The necks of turtles are highly flexible, possibly to compensate for their rigid shells. Some species, like sea turtles, have short necks while others, such as snake-necked turtles, have long lungs. Despite this, all turtle species have 8 neck vertebrae, a consistency not found in other reptiles, but similar to mammals. 31. Some snake-necked turtles have both long necks and large heads, limiting their ability to lift them when not in water. 26. Some turtles have folded structures in the larynx or glottis that vibrate to produce sound. Other species have elastin-rich vocal cords. 30 to 33 limbs and locomotion due to their heavy shells, turtles are slow-moving on land. A desert tortoise moves at only 0.22 to 0.48 kilometers per hour, 0.1 for 0.30 miles per hour. By contrast, sea turtles can swim at 30 kilometers per hour, 19 miles per hour. 13. The limbs of turtles are adapted for various means of locomotion and habits, and most have 5 toes. Tortoises are specialized for terrestrial environments and have column-like legs with elephant-like feet and short toes. The gopher tortoise has flattened front limbs for digging in the substrate. Freshwater turtles have more flexible legs and longer toes with webbing, giving them thrust in the water. Some of these species, such as snapping turtles and mud turtles, mainly walk along the water bottom as they would on land. Others, such as terrapins, swim by paddling with all 4 limbs, switching between the opposing front and hind limbs, which keeps their direction stable. 1330 for marine turtle swimming. Sea turtles have streamlined shells and limbs adapted for fast and efficient swimming. 35C. Turtles and the pig-nosed turtle are the most specialized for swimming. Their front limbs have evolved into flippers, while the shorter hind limbs are shaped more like rudders. The front limbs provide most of the thrust for swimming, while the hind limbs serve as stabilizers. 1336, sea turtles, such as the green sea turtle, rotate the front limb flippers like a bird's wings, generate a propulsive force on both the upstroke and on the downstroke. This is in contrast to similar-sized freshwater turtles, measurements having been made on young animals in each case, such as the Caspian turtle, which uses the front limbs like the oars of a rowing boat, creating substantial negative thrust on the recovery stroke in each cycle. In addition, the streamlining of the marine turtles reduces drag. As a result, marine turtles produce a propulsive force twice as large and swim 6 times as fast as freshwater turtles. The swimming efficiency of young marine turtles is similar to that of fast-swimming fish of open water, like mackerel. 35. Compared to other reptiles, turtles tend to have reduced tails, but these vary in both length and thickness among species and between sexes. Snapping turtles and the big-headed turtle have longer tails. The latter uses it for balance while climbing. The cloaca is found underneath and at the base, and the tail itself houses the reproductive organs. Hence, males have longer tails to contain the penis. In sea turtles, the tail is longer and more prehensile in males, who use it to grasp mates. Several turtle species have spines on their tails. 3724. Sense shed of a red-eared slider turtle, red-eared slider, has an exceptional 7 types of color-detecting cells in its eyes. 38 turtles make use of vision to find food and mates, avoid predators, and orient themselves. The retina's light-sensitive cells include both rods for vision in low light and cones with 3 different photopigments for bright light, where they have full color vision. There is possibly a 4th type of cone that detects ultraviolet, as hatchling sea turtles respond experimentally to ultraviolet light. But it is unknown if they can distinguish this from longer wavelengths. A freshwater turtle, the red-eared slider, has an exceptional 7 types of cone cell. 38, 39, 40 sea turtles orient themselves on land by night using visual features detected in dim light. They can use their eyes in clear surface water, muddy coasts, the darkness of the deep ocean, and also above water. Unlike in terrestrial turtles, the cornea, the curved surface that lets light into the eye, does not help to focus light on the retina, so focusing underwater is handled entirely by the lens. Behind the cornea, the cone cells contain oil droplets placed to shift perception toward the red part of the spectrum improving color discrimination. Visual acuity, studied in hatchlings, is highest in a horizontal band with retinal cells packed about twice as densely as elsewhere. This gives the best vision along the visual horizon. Sea turtles do not appear to use polarized light for orientation as many other animals do. The deep-diving leatherback turtle lacks specific adaptations to low light, such as large eyes, large lenses, or a reflective tapetum. It may rely on seeing the bioluminescence of prey when hunting in deep water. 38 turtles have no ear openings. The eardrum is covered with scales and encircled by a bony otic capsule, which is absent in other reptiles. 31, their hearing thresholds are high in comparison to other reptiles, reaching up to 500 Hz in air. But underwater, they are more attuned to lower frequency. The loggerhead sea turtle has been shown experimentally to respond to low sounds with maximal sensitivity between 100 and 400 Hz. 42 turtles have olfactory, smell, and vomeronasal receptors along the nasal cavity, the latter of which are used to detect chemical signals. 43 experiments on green sea turtles showed they could learn to respond to a selection of different odorant chemicals, such as triethylamine and cinnamaldehyde, which were detected by olfaction in the nose. Such signals could be used in navigation. 40 for breathing photo of a river turtle with only its nose above water, a submerged Indian softshell turtle nose breathing at river surface. The rigid shell of turtles is not capable of expanding and making room for the lungs, as in other amniotes, so they have had to evolve special adaptations for respiration. 45, 46, 47. The lungs of turtles are attached directly to the carapace above, while below, connective tissue attaches them to the organs. 48, they have multiple lateral side and medial middle chambers, the numbers of which vary between species and one terminal end. Chambered. 49, the lungs are ventilated using specific groups of abdominal muscles attached to the organs that pull and push on them. 45 specifically, it is the turtle's large liver that compresses the lungs. Underneath the lungs, in the coalomic cavity, the liver is connected to the right lung by the root, and the stomach is directly attached to the left lung and to the liver by a mesentery. When the liver is pulled down, inhalation begins. 46, supporting the lungs is a wall or septum, which is thought to prevent them from collapsing. 50, during exhalation. The contraction of the transversus abdominis muscle propels the organs into the lungs and expels air. Conversely, during inhalation, the relaxing and flattening of the oblique abdominis muscle pulls the transversus back down, allowing air back into the lungs. 46. Although many turtles spend large amounts of their lives underwater, all turtles breathe air and must surface at regular intervals to refill their lungs. Depending on the species, immersion periods vary between a minute and an hour. 51. Some species can respire through the cloaca, which contains large sacs that are lined with many finger-like projections that take up dissolved oxygen from the water. 52. Circulation photo of a turtle climbing out of mud, snapping turtle emerging from period of brumation, in which it buried itself in mud. Turtles have multiple circulatory and physiological adaptations to enable them to go long periods without breathing. 53 turtles share the linked circulatory and pulmonary lung systems of vertebrates, where the three-chambered heart pumps deoxygenated blood through the lungs and then pumps the returned oxygenated blood through the body's tissues. The cardiopulmonary system has both structural and physiological adaptations that distinguish it from other vertebrates. Turtles have a large lung volume and can move blood through non-pulmonary blood vessels, including some within the heart, to avoid the lungs while they are not breathing. They can hold their breath for much longer periods than other reptiles, and they can tolerate the resulting low oxygen levels. They can moderate the increase in acidity during anaerobic non-oxygen-based respiration by chemical buffering, and they can lie dormant for months in estivation or brumation. 53, the heart has two atria, but only one ventricle. The ventricle is subdivided into three chambers. A muscular ridge enables a complex pattern of blood flow so that the blood can be directed either to the lungs via the pulmonary artery or to the body via the aorta. The ability to separate the two outflows varies between species. The leatherback has a powerful muscular ridge enabling almost complete separation of the outflows, supporting its actively swimming lifestyle. The ridge is less well developed in freshwater turtles like the sliders trachemes. 53 turtles are capable of enduring periods of anaerobic respiration longer than many other vertebrates. This process breaks down sugars incompletely to lactic acid, rather than all the way to carbon dioxide and water as an aerobic oxygen-based respiration. 53, they make use of the shell as a source of additional buffering agents for combating increased acidity and as a sink for lactic acid. 50 for osmoregulation sea turtles. The bladder is one unit, and in most freshwater turtles, it is double-lobed. 55. Sea turtle bladders are connected to two small accessory bladders located at the sides to the neck of the urinary bladder and above the pubis. 56 arid living tortoises have bladders that serve as reserves of water, storing up to 20% of their body weight in fluids. The fluids are normally low in solutes, but higher during droughts when the reptile gains potassium salts from its plant diet. The bladder stores these salts until the tortoise finds fresh drinking water. 57 to regulate the amount of salt in their bodies. Sea turtles and the brackish living diamondback terrapin secrete excess salt in a thick, sticky substance from their tear glands. Because of this, sea turtles may appear to be crying when on land. 58 thermoregulation toward turtles basking in sunshine near their smaller pond turtles. Like these northern red-bellied cooters, regulate their temperature by basking in the sun. Turtles, like other reptiles, have a limited ability to regulate their body temperature. This ability varies between species and with body size. Small pond turtles regulate their temperature by crawling out of the water and basking in the sun, while small terrestrial turtles move between sunny and shady places to adjust their temperature. Large species, both terrestrial and marine, have sufficient mass to give them substantial thermal inertia, meaning that they heat up or cool down over many hours. The Aldabra giant tortoise weighs up to some 60 kilograms, 130 pounds, and is able to allow its temperature to rise to some 33°C91F on a hot day, and to fall naturally to around 29 Celsius, 84 degrees Fahrenheit by night. Some giant tortoises seek out shade to avoid overheating on sunny days. On Grand Terre Island, food is scarce inland, shade is scarce near the coast, and the tortoises compete for space under the few trees on hot days. Large males may push smaller females out of the shade, and some then overheat and die. 59 adult sea turtles, too, have large enough bodies that they can to some extent control their temperature. The largest turtle, the leatherback, can swim in the waters off Nova Scotia, which may be as cold as 8°C 46 degrees Fahrenheit, while their body temperature has been measured at up to 12 Celsius, 20 to F warmer than this. To help keep their temperature up, they have a system of countercurrent heat exchange in the blood vessels between their body core and the skin of their flippers. The vessels supplying the head are insulated by fat around the neck. 59. Behavior diet and feeding photograph of a green sea turtle on the seabed. Feeding a green sea turtle grazing on seagrass. Most turtle species are opportunistic omnivores. Land-dwelling species are more herbivorous and aquatic ones more carnivorous. 26. Generally lacking speed and agility, most turtles feed either on plant material or on animals with limited movements like mollusks, worms, and insect larvae. 13. Some species, such as the African helmeted turtle and snapping turtles, eat fish, amphibians, reptiles, including other turtles, birds, and mammals. They may take them by ambush, but also scavenge. 60. The alligator snapping turtle has a worm-like appendage on its tongue that it uses to lure fish into its mouth. Tortoises are the most herbivorous group, consuming grasses, leaves, and fruits. 61 many turtle species, including tortoises, supplement their diet with eggshells, animal bones, hair, and droppings for extra nutrients. 62 turtles generally eat their food in a straightforward way, though some species have special feeding techniques. 13. The yellow-spotted river turtle and the painted turtle may filter feed by skimming the water surface with their mouth and throat open to collect particles of food. When the mouth closes, the throat constricts and water is pushed out through the nostrils and the gap in between the jaws. 63. Some species employ a gape and suck method where the turtle opens its jaws and expands its throat widely, sucking the prey in. 1360 for 65. The diet of an individual within a species may change with age, sex, and season, and may also differ between populations. In many species, juveniles are generally carnivorous but become more herbivorous as adults. 1366 with Barber's map turtle. The larger female mainly eats mollusks, while the male usually eats arthropods. 13 blandings. Turtle may feed mainly on snails or crayfish, depending on the population. The European pond turtle has been recorded as being mostly carnivorous much of the year, but switching to water lilies during the summer. 67. Some species have developed specialized diets, such as the hawksbill, which eats sponges, the leatherback, which feeds on jellyfish, and the Mekong snail-eating turtle. 2613. Communication and intelligence of an oblong turtle. The oblong turtle has a sizable vocal repertoire. 68C also. Animal cognition, while popularly thought of as mute, turtles make various sounds to communicate. 6970. One study which recorded 53 species found that all of them vocalized. 71. Tortoises may bellow when courting and mating. 7031. Various species of both freshwater and sea turtles emit short, low-frequency calls from the time they are in the egg to when they are adults. These vocalizations may serve to create group cohesion when migrating. 70. The oblong turtle has a particularly large vocal range, producing sounds described as clacks, clicks, squawks, hoots, various kinds of chirps, wails, whoos, grunts, growls, low bursts, howls, and drum rolls. 68. Play behavior has been documented in some turtle species. 72. In the laboratory, Florida red-bellied cooters can learn novel tasks and have demonstrated a long-term memory of at least 7.5 months. 73. Similarly, giant tortoises can learn and remember tasks and master lessons much faster when trained in groups. 70. For tortoises appear to be able to retain operant conditioning 9 years after their initial training. 75 studies have shown that turtles can navigate the environment using landmarks and a map-like system, resulting in accurate direct routes towards a goal. 76. Navigation in turtles have been correlated to high cognition function in the medial cortex region of the brain. 76-77 photo of a large bird eating a turtle-crested caracara eating a turtle defense. Also, anti-predator adaptation when sensing danger. A turtle may flee, freeze, or withdraw into its shell. Freshwater turtles flee into the water, though the Sonora mud turtle may take refuge on land as the shallow temporary ponds they inhabit make them vulnerable. 78. When startled, a soft-shell turtle may dive underwater and bury itself under the sea floor. 79. If a predator persists, the turtle may bite or discharge from its cloaca. Several species produce foul-smelling chemicals from musk glands. Other tactics include threat displays, and Bell's hingeback tortoise can play dead. When attacked, big-headed turtle hatchlings squeal, possibly startling the predator. 80. Migration. Further information. Sea turtle migration and olive ridley sea turtle nesting on Escobilla Beach, Oaxaca, Mexico. Female sea turtles migrate long distances to nest on favored beaches. Turtles are the only reptiles that migrate long distances, more specifically the marine species that can travel up to thousands of kilometers. Some non-marine turtles, such as the species of Giacellone, terrestrial, Chelydra freshwater, and Malacomys estuarine, migrate seasonally over much shorter distances, up to around 27 kilometers, 17 miles, to lay eggs. Such short migrations are comparable to those of some lizards, snakes, and crocodilians. 81. Sea turtles nest in a specific area, such as a beach, leaving the eggs to hatch unattended. The young turtles leave that area, migrating long distances in the years or decades in which they grow to maturity, and then return seemingly to the same area every few years to mate and lay eggs, though the precision varies between species and populations. This natal homing has appeared remarkable to biologists, though there is now plentiful evidence for it, including from genetics. 82. How sea turtles navigate to their breeding beaches remains unknown. One possibility is imprinting as in salmon, where the young learn the chemical signature, effectively the scent, of their home waters before leaving, and remember that when the time comes for them to return as adults. Another possible cue is the orientation of the Earth's magnetic field at the natal beach. There is experimental evidence that turtles have an effective magnetic sense and that they use this in navigation. Proof that homing occurs is derived from genetic analysis of populations of loggerheads, hawksbills, leatherbacks, and olive ridleys by nesting place. For each of these species, the populations in different places have their own mitochondrial DNA genetic signatures that persist over the years. This shows that the populations are distinct and that homing must be occurring reliably. 82. Reproduction and life cycle frames from a film showing one desert tortoise biting the other desert tortoises fighting. Turtles have a wide variety of mating behaviors, but do not form pair bonds or social groups. 83. In terrestrial species, males are often larger than females, and fighting between males establishes a dominance hierarchy for access to mates. For most semi-aquatic and bottom-walking aquatic species, combat occurs less often. Males of these species instead may use their size advantage to mate forcibly. In fully aquatic species, males are often smaller than females and rely on courtship displays to gain mating access to females. 84. In green sea turtles, females generally outnumber males. 85. Courtship and mounting courtship varies between species and with habitat. It is often complex in aquatic species, both marine and freshwater, but simpler in the semi-aquatic mud turtles and snapping turtles. A male tortoise bobs his head, then subdues the female by biting and butting her before mounting. 13. The male scorpion mud turtle approaches the female from the rear and often resorts to aggressive methods such as biting the female's tail or hind limbs, followed by a mounting. 86. Female choice is important in some species, and female green sea turtles are not always receptive. As such, they have evolved behaviors to avoid the male's attempts at copulation, such as swimming away, confronting the male followed by biting or taking up a refusal position with her body vertical, her limbs widely outspread, and her plastron facing the male. If the water is too shallow for the refusal position, the females resort to beaching themselves, as the males do not follow them ashore. 85. Photograph of a male turtle mounting a female. Mounting behavior in the three-toed box, turtles fertilize internally. Mounting and copulation can be difficult. In many species, males have a concave plastron that interlocks with the female's carapace. In species like the Russian tortoise, the male has a lighter shell and longer legs. The high, rounded shape of box turtles are particular obstacles for mounting. The male eastern box turtle leans backward and hooks onto the back of the female's plastron. 87. Aquatic turtles mount in water. 88, 89, and female sea turtles support the mounting male while swimming and diving. 90. During copulation, the male turtle aligns his tail with the female's so he can insert his penis into her cloaca. 91. Some female turtles can store sperm from multiple males, and their egg clutches can have multiple sires. 90 to 83. Istomatics and evolution. Further information, turtle classification, and list of testudines. Families fossil historoideogram of evolution of turtle shells showing for fossil species. Diagram of the origins of the turtle body plan through the Triassic. Isolated bony plates evolved to form a complete shell in a sequence involving Papichles, Earhynchotles, Odontocles. and progonochles. 19 zoologists have sought to explain the evolutionary origin of the turtles, and in particular of their unique shells. In 1914, Jan Versluys proposed that bony plates in the dermis, called osteoderms, fused to the ribs beneath them, later called the polka dot ancestor by Olivier Riopel. 1904, the theory accounted for the evolution of fossil periosaurs from Bradosaurus to Anthodon, but not for how the ribs could have become attached to the bony dermal plates. 19 more recent discoveries have painted a different scenario for the evolution of the turtles. Shell: the stem turtles Unodontosaurus of the Middle Permian, Papichles of the Middle Triassic, and Earhynchocles of the Late Triassic lacked carapaces and plastrons, but had shortened torsos, expanded ribs, and lengthened dorsal vertebrae. Also in the Late Triassic, Odontochles had a partial shell consisting of a complete bony plastron and an incomplete carapace. The development of a shell reached completion with the Late Triassic Progonochles, with its fully developed carapace and plastron. 19105. Adaptations that led to the evolution of the shell may have originally been for digging and a fossile lifestyle. 105. The oldest known members of the Pleurodira lineage are the Platycelidae, from the Late Jurassic. 106. The oldest known unambiguous cryptodire is Cynaspidaretes, a close relative of softshell turtles, from the Late Jurassic of China. 107. Turtles became highly diverse during the Cretaceous, as climatic conditions in this period were favorable for their global dispersal. 108. During the Late Cretaceous and Cenozoic, members of the Pleurodire families Bothromyidae and Podocnomyidae became widely distributed in the Northern Hemisphere due to their coastal habits. 109. 110. The oldest known soft-shelled turtles and sea turtles appeared during the early Cretaceous. 111. 112. Tortoises originated in Asia during the Eocene. 113. A late surviving group of stem turtles, the Melanidae, survived in Australasia into the Pleistocene and Holocene. 114. External relationships turtles' exact ancestry has been disputed. It was believed they were the only surviving branch of the ancient evolutionary grade Anapsida, which includes groups such as Procolophonids and Periosaurs. All anapsid skulls lack a temporal opening, while all other living amniotes have temporal openings. 115. It was later suggested that the unapsid-like turtle skulls may be due to backward evolution rather than to anapsid descent. 116. Fossil evidence has shown that early stem turtles possessed small temporal openings. 105. Some early morphological phylogenetic studies have placed turtles closer to Lepidosauria, tuataras, lizards, and snakes than to Archosauria, crocodilians, and birds. 115. By contrast, several molecular studies placed turtles either within Archosauria. 117, or, more commonly, as a sister group to extant archosaurs. 116, 118, 119, 120, though an analysis conducted by Tyler Lyson and colleagues 2012 recovered turtles as the sister group of Lepidosaurs instead. 121, Alenia chiari and colleagues 2012 analyzed 248 nuclear genes from 16 vertebrates and suggested that turtles share a more recent common ancestor with birds and crocodilians. Internal relationships: more turtles and their extinct relatives with a complete shell are classified within the clade Testudinata. 125. The most recent common ancestor of living turtles, corresponding to the split between Pleurodira side-necked species and Cryptodira hidden-necked species, is estimated to have occurred around 210 million years ago during the late Triassic. 126. Robert Thompson and colleagues 2021 comment that living turtles have low diversity relative to how diversity has been stable, according to their analysis, except for a single rapid increaser on the Eocene-Oligocene boundary some 30 million years ago. and a large regional extinction at roughly the same time. They suggest that global climate change caused both events, as the cooling and drying caused the land to become arid and turtles to become extinct there, while new continental margins opened up by the climate change provided habitats for other species to evolve. 127 The cladogram from Nicholas Crawford and colleagues 2015 shows the internal phylogeny of the testudines down to the level of families. 128-129. The analysis by Thompson and colleagues in 2021 supports the same structure down to the family level. 127. Differences between the two suborder SNC retraction photograph of a cryptodiron with its head pulled back straight into its shell cryptodira retract their necks backward. Photograph of a pleurodira with its head and neck folded toward the side of pleurodira retract their necks sideways. Diagrams of the top-down bending of the neck of cryptodirons and the left-right bending of the neck in pleuroder ants. Different mechanisms of neck retraction in the two suborders of turtles. Turtles are divided into two living suborders, Cryptodira and Pleurodira. 130. The two groups differ in the way the neck is retracted for protection. Pleurodirans retract their neck to the side and in front of the shoulder girdles, whereas cryptodirans retract their neck backward into their shell. These motions are enabled by the morphology and arrangement of neck vertebrae. 131. 130 To sea turtles, which belong to Cryptodira, have mostly lost the ability to retract their heads. 133. The adductor muscles in the lower jaw create a pulley-like system in both subgroups. However, the bones that the muscles articulate with differ. In Pleurodira, the pulley is formed with the pterygoid bones of the palate, but in Cryptodira the pulley is formed with the otic capsule. Both systems help to vertically redirect the adductor muscles and maintain a powerful bite. 130. For a further difference between the suborders is the attachment of the pelvis. In Cryptodira, the pelvis is free, linked to the shell only by ligaments. In Pleurodira, the pelvis is sutured, joined with bony connections to the carapace and to the plastron, creating a pair of large columns of bone at the back end of the turtle, linking the two parts of the shell. 135. Distribution and habitat. Turtles are widely distributed across the world's continents, oceans, and islands with terrestrial, fully aquatic, and semi-aquatic species. Sea turtles are mainly tropical and subtropical, but leatherbacks can be found in colder areas of the Atlantic and Pacific. 136. Living Pleurodira all live in freshwater and are found only in the southern hemisphere. 137. The Cryptodira include terrestrial, freshwater, and marine species, and these range more widely. 136. The world regions richest in non-marine turtle species are the Amazon Basin, the Gulf of Mexico drainages of the United States, and parts of South and Southeast Asia. For turtles in colder climates, their distribution is limited by constraints on reproduction, which is reduced by long hibernations. North American species barely range above the southern Canadian border. 139. Some turtles are found at high altitudes. For example, the species terrapene ornata occurs up to 2,000 meters, 6,600 feet in New Mexico. 140. Conversely, the leatherback sea turtle can dive over 1,200 meters, 3,900 feet. 141. Species of the genus Gopherus can tolerate both below freezing and over 40 Celsius, 100 degrees Fahrenheit in body temperature, though they are most active at 63 for C, 79 to 93 degrees Fahrenheit. 142. Conservation photograph of a marine turtle escaping from a specially designed fishing net. Many turtles have been killed accidentally in fishing nets. 143. Some trawlers now use nets fitted with turtle excluders. 140 for seen here. A loggerhead escapes in nets so fitted. Among vertebrate orders, turtles are second only to primates in the percentage of threatened species. 360 modern species have existed since 1500 AD. Of these, 51 to 56% are considered threatened and 60% considered threatened or extinct. 145 turtles face many threats, including habitat destruction, harvesting for consumption, the pet trade, 146, 147 light pollution, 148 and climate change. 149 Asian species have a particularly high extinction risk, primarily due to their long-term unsustainable exploitation for food and medicine. 150 and about 83% of Asia's non-marine turtle species are considered threatened. 145, as of 2021, turtle extinction is progressing much faster than during the Cretaceous Tertiary extinction. At this rate, all turtles could be extinct in a few centuries. 151 turtle hatcheries can be set up when protection against flooding, erosion, predation, or heavy poaching is required. 150 to 153, 154, Chinese markets have sought to satisfy an increasing demand for turtle meat with farmed turtles. In 2007, it was estimated that over 1,000 turtle farms operated in China. 155. All the same, wild turtles continue to be caught and sent to market in large numbers, resulting in what conservationists have called the Asian turtle crisis. 156, 150. In the words of the biologist George Amato, the hunting of turtles vacuumed up entire species from areas in Southeast Asia, even as biologists still did not know how many species lived in the region. 157. In 2000, all the Asian box turtles were placed on the CITES list of endangered species. 150. Harvesting wild turtles is legal in some American states. 158, and there has been a growing demand for American turtles in China. 159, 160. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission estimated in 2008 that around 3,000 pounds of softshell turtles were exported weekly via Tampa International Airport. 160. However, the great majority of turtles exported from the U.S. between 2002 and 2005 were farmed. 159 large numbers of sea turtles are accidentally killed in long lines, gill nets, and trawling nets as bycatch. A 2010 study suggested that over 8 million had been killed between 1990 and 2008. The Eastern Pacific and the Mediterranean were identified as among the areas worst affected. 143. Since the 1980s, the United States has required all shrimp trawlers to fit their nets with turtle excluder devices that prevent turtles from being entangled in the net and drowning. 140. For more locally, other human activities are affecting marine turtles. In Australia, Queensland's shark culling program, which uses shark nets and drum lines, has killed over 5,000 turtles as bycatch between 1962 and 2015. Including 719 loggerhead turtles and 33 hawksbill sea turtles, which are listed as critically endangered. 161 native turtle populations can also be threatened by invasive ones. The Central North American red-eared slider turtle has been listed among the world's worst invasive species, pet turtle having been released globally. They appear to compete with native turtle species in eastern and western North America, Europe, and Japan. 162, 163. Human uses in space flights to tortoises were on the Soviet Union September 1968 Zond 5 circumlunar flight, making them the first earthly living things to travel to the vicinity of the moon. Turtles were also on the Zond 6 1968 and the Zond 7 1969 circumlunar flights. 164, 165 turtles have featured in human cultures across the world since ancient times. They are generally viewed positively despite not being cuddly or flashy. Their association with the ancient times and old age have contributed to their endearing image. 166. In Hindu mythology, the world turtle, named Kurma or Kakapa, supports for elephants on his back. They, in turn, carry the weight of the whole world on their backs. 167, 168. The turtle is one of the 10 avatars or incarnations of the god Vishnu. 167. The yoga pose Kurmasana is named for the avatar. 169, 170. World turtles are found in Native American cultures including the Algonquian, Iroquois, and Lenape. They tell many versions of the creation story of Turtle Island. One version has muskrat pile up earth on Turtle's back, creating the continent of North America. An Iroquois version has the pregnant sky woman fall through a hole in the sky between a tree's roots, where she is caught by birds who land her safely on Turtle's back. The earth grows around her. The turtle here is altruistic, but the world is a heavy burden, and the turtle sometimes shakes itself to relieve the load, causing earthquakes. 167, 171, 172. A turtle was the symbol of the ancient Mesopotamian god Enki from the 3rd millennium BCE onward. 173. An ancient Greek origin myth told that only the tortoise refused the invitation of the gods Zeus and Hera to their wedding, as it preferred to stay at home. Zeus then ordered it to carry its house with it, ever after. 174. Another of their gods, Hermes, invented a 7-string lyre made with the shell of a tortoise. 175. In the Shang Dynasty Chinese practice of plastromancy, dating back to 1200 BCE, oracles were obtained by inscribing questions on turtle plastrons using the oldest known form of Chinese characters, burning the plastron, and interpreting the resulting cracks. Later, the turtle was one of the sacred animals in Confucianism, while in the Han period, steles were mounted on top of stone turtles, later linked with Bixi, the turtle-shelled son of the Dragon King. 176. Marine turtles feature significantly in Australian Aboriginal art. 168. The army of ancient Rome used the testudo tortoise formation, where soldiers would form a shield wall for protection. 163. In Aesop's fables, the tortoise and the hare tells how an unequal race may be won by the slower partner. 177, 178. Lewis Carroll's 1865 Alice's Adventures in Wonderland features a mock turtle, named for a soup meant to imitate the expensive soup made from real turtle meat. 179, 180. In 1896, the French playwright Léon Gandelot wrote a comedy in 3 acts named La Tortue that was a Parisian sensation. 182. In its run in France, and came to the Manhattan Theater, Broadway, New York, in 1898 as The Turtle. 183. A cosmic turtle and the island motif reappear in Gary Snyder's 1970 for novel Turtle Island, and again in Terry Pratchett's Discworld series as Great Aiden, starting with the 1983 novel The Color of Magic. It is supposedly of the species Cheles galactica, the galactic turtle, complete with fur elephants on its back to support Discworld. 184. A giant fire-breathing turtle called Gamera is the star of a series of Japanese monster movies in the kaiju genre and has had 12 films from 1965 to 2006. 185 turtles have been featured in comic books and animations such as the 1980 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 186, 187 as Petsum turtles, particularly small terrestrial and freshwater species, are kept as pets. 188. The demand for pet turtles increased in the 1950s, with the U.S. being the main supplier, particularly of farm-bred red-eared sliders. The popularity for exotic pets has led to an increase in illegal wildlife trafficking. Around 21% of the value of live animal trade is in reptiles, and turtles are among the more popularly traded species. 190. Poor husbandry of tortoises can cause chronic rhinitis, nasal swelling, overgrown beaks, hyperparathyroidism, which softens their skeleton, constipation, various reproductive problems, and injuries from dogs. 188. In the early 20th century, people in the United States have organized and gambled on turtle races. 191 as food and other uses. The flesh of captured wild turtles continues to be eaten in Asian cultures. 192, while turtle soup was once a popular dish in English cuisine. 193, gopher tortoise stew has been popular with some groups in Florida. 194, the supposed aphrodisiac or medicinal properties of turtle eggs created a large trade for them in Southeast Asia. 168, hard-shell turtle plastrons and soft-shell carapaces are widely used in traditional Chinese medicine. Taiwan imported nearly 200 metric tons of hard shells from its neighbors yearly from 1999 to 2008. 195. A popular medicinal preparation based on herbs and turtle shells is gilinga jelly. 196. The substance tortoiseshell, usually from the hawksbill turtle, has been used for centuries to make jewelry, tools, and ornaments around the Western Pacific. 168 hawksbills have accordingly been hunted for their shells. 197. The trading of tortoiseshell was internationally banned in 1977 by CITES. 198. Some cultures have used turtle shells to make music. Native American shamans made them into ceremonial rattles, while Aztecs, Mayas, and Mixtecs made ayatl drums. 199.